Sarah Bennett's life unraveled in a single moment, a fraud notice with her name, but not her actions. At 30, she stood accused, her family's trust shattered. Her twin sister, Lauren, watched with a knowing smirk. Was this betrayal deliberate? Sarah's fight for truth would uncover secrets darker than she ever imagined, pulling her into a web of lies only she could unravel. There is one detail that only the attentive notice. Did you see it? Write in the comments and click subscribe, because it will be even cooler. The rain-slicked streets of Seattle glistened under the streetlights as Sarah Bennett, 30 years old and weary, stepped into her father's Capitol Hill home. The warmth of the house should have been a comfort, but tonight it felt like a trap. Her father, Robert Bennett, stood rigid at the kitchen island, his weathered face carved with disappointment. Across the room, Sarah's identical twin, Lauren, leaned against the counter, her arms crossed, her lips curled in a faint, unreadable smirk. The air crackled with unspoken accusations. "Sarah, how could you do this to us?" Robert's voice boomed, shaking the walls. He clutched a stack of legal notices, each one a dagger aimed at Sarah's heart. "Fraud? Loans in your name? This is a disgrace." Sarah's pulse raced, her mind scrambling to make sense of the scene. "Dad, I didn't do anything. I don't know what these are." Her voice trembled, but she stood her ground, her hazel eyes pleading for belief. The notices claimed she'd defaulted on loans totaling tens of thousands, accounts she'd never opened. For weeks, strange calls about repayments had haunted her phone, dismissed as scams. Now, they were real, and they were destroying her. Lauren sighed dramatically, her perfectly manicured nails tapping the counter. "Come on, Sarah. Your name's all over the documents. Are you really saying this is some big mistake?" Her tone dripped with mock pity, but her eyes glinted with something sharper, something Sarah couldn't quite name. Robert's gaze hardened. "They've got your signature, your ID. People are suing us, Sarah. Why would someone target you unless you're involved?" Sarah's throat tightened. "Someone framed me, Dad. I don't know how, but I swear I'm innocent." Her eyes flicked to Lauren, who raised her hands in mock surrender. "Framed? Really, Sarah?" Lauren's laugh was sharp, cutting. "Who'd go to all that trouble? This sounds like a bad movie script." Her words stung, but it was the flicker of satisfaction in her expression that twisted Sarah's gut. Lauren, the golden child, always flawless, always believed. Sarah, the quieter twin, was an easy scapegoat. Robert paced, his voice low and final. "I've given you every chance, Sarah. But this? You're not a kid anymore. Until you own up, you're not welcome here." The words hit like a physical blow. Sarah's knees buckled, but she caught herself on the table. "You're kicking me out," she whispered, her voice breaking. Robert didn't meet her eyes, his silence louder than any shout. Lauren stepped forward, her voice soft but venomous. "Maybe some time away will help you reflect, Sarah. It's for the best." The false concern in her tone was a knife in Sarah's back. Anger flared in Sarah's chest. "You're enjoying this, aren't you?" she snapped, her voice low. "You've always been the perfect one, and now you're watching me burn." "Enough!" Robert roared. "Pack your things, Sarah. Leave. Tonight." The finality in his tone shattered something inside her. Blinking back tears, Sarah turned and climbed the stairs to her childhood room. Each step felt heavier, the walls closing in. She packed her duffel bag in silence, her hands shaking as she stuffed clothes and memories into the worn fabric. The room, once a sanctuary, now felt like a stranger's. Lauren appeared in the doorway, her silhouette framed by the hall's dim light. "I'm sorry it's come to this," she said, her voice soft, almost sincere. "Maybe you'll figure out how this happened." Sarah froze, gripping the bag's strap. "I didn't do this, Lauren," she said quietly, her voice steady despite the storm inside. "And I'm going to prove it." Lauren's smile faltered, just for a second, before she stepped back. "Good luck with that," she said, her tone laced with something Sarah couldn't place. Fear? Guilt? It vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving Sarah alone with her doubts. Outside, the Seattle rain soaked through Sarah's jacket as she stood at the edge of the driveway. The house loomed behind her, its windows glowing with accusation. Robert hadn't even come to the door. Lauren's words echoed in her mind. Good luck with that. They felt like a challenge, a dare to uncover the truth. Sarah clutched her bag and started walking toward the bus station, her boots splashing through puddles. The city's hum surrounded her, but she felt utterly alone. Someone had stolen her identity, her life, and Lauren's smug confidence gnawed at her. Was her own sister behind this? The thought was unthinkable, yet it clung to her like the damp chill. At the deserted bus station, Sarah bought a one-way ticket to downtown Seattle, her hands trembling as she handed over the cash. She sank into a corner seat, the flickering lights casting shadows across her face. Her phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. You can't run from the truth, Sarah. Her breath caught. Who was watching her? Was Lauren toying with her, or was there another player in this game? The rumble of an approaching bus broke her thoughts. Sarah tightened her grip on her bag, her resolve hardening. She didn't have answers yet, but she'd find them, no matter who stood in her way. Sarah Bennett's new reality was a cramped studio apartment in Seattle's Belltown, where the hum of the city couldn't drown out her racing thoughts. At 30, she'd lost her family, her home, and her name to a fraud she didn't commit. The legal notices, loans in her name, totaling over $50,000, haunted her, each one a brick in the wall of lies built around her. But Sarah wasn't broken yet. She'd find the truth, even if it meant tearing apart everything she'd once held dear. Her first step was survival. Sarah landed a job at a quirky bookstore in Pike Place Market, shelving novels and ringing up tourists. The work was mundane, but it paid for instant noodles and rent. Her coworker, Mia Torres, a 35-year-old with a punk streak and a sharp wit, became an unexpected ally. Mia's no-nonsense attitude cut through Sarah's fog of despair. One slow afternoon, as they sorted a shipment of paperbacks, Sarah spilled her story, the fraud, her father's rejection, Lauren's smug betrayal. That's messed up, Mia said, tossing a book onto a shelf. Your twin sister just watched you take the fall? Sounds like she knows more than she's letting on. Her words were casual, but they struck a nerve. Sarah paused, a romance novel frozen in her hands. You think Lauren could have done this? Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper. The idea of her twin orchestrating such a betrayal felt like a punch, but Mia's raised eyebrow said it wasn't far-fetched. Identical twin? Same face, same DNA? She could walk into any bank and be you, Mia said, leaning on a cart. Question is, why? What's her deal? Sarah's mind churned. Lauren, always the charismatic one, had a knack for getting what she wanted: new cars, designer clothes, a cushy marketing job. Sarah, the introvert, had never questioned how Lauren afforded her lavish lifestyle. Now, it seemed like a glaring red flag. She's always been ambitious, Sarah admitted. But framing me? That's next level. Mia shrugged. People do crazy things for money or power. You got any of those notices? Let's see what we're dealing with. Sarah pulled a crumpled folder from her bag, filled with the legal threats she'd saved. Mia scanned them, her eyes narrowing. These loans were opened in Tacoma, not Seattle. Lauren ever spend time there? Sarah nodded slowly. 2 years ago, she was consulting in Tacoma. Said it was a big project. The memory felt tainted now, Lauren's vague explanation suddenly suspicious. Bingo, Mia said, snapping her fingers. We start there. Check banks, look for records. If she's sloppy, there's a trail. For the first time in weeks, Sarah felt a spark of hope. Mia's confidence was infectious, and together, they devised a plan: track the loan's origins, gather evidence, and clear Sarah's name. After their shift, they huddled in a nearby coffee shop, rain pattering against the windows. Mia jotted down a list of banks from the notices, her pen flying across a napkin. "We'll hit these on our day off," she said. "You in?" Sarah nodded, her resolve hardening. "All in." The next day, they drove to Tacoma, the gray sky mirroring Sarah's mood. Their first stop was a small credit union. Inside, the air smelled of ink and anxiety. A clerk, a young man with a nervous smile, greeted them. "Welcome back," he said to Sarah, his words stopping her cold. "Back?" Sarah echoed, her heart pounding. "I've never been here." The clerk blinked, confused. "Oh, sorry. You look familiar. Must be a mix-up." Mia shot Sarah a look, her eyes screaming, "This is it." Sarah steadied herself and approached the counter. "I'm here about a loan opened in my name," she said, sliding a notice across. "I need details, everything you've got." The clerk typed, then frowned at his screen. "It was opened in person, 2 years ago. ID, signature, the works. You, chatted about the weather, I think." He turned the monitor, revealing a scanned ID. Sarah's name, Sarah's details, but the face was Lauren's, unmistakable despite their identical features. Sarah's stomach dropped. Mia leaned in, her voice low. "That's her, isn't it?" Sarah nodded, unable to speak. The truth was staring back at her. Lauren had used their likeness to steal her identity. They visited 2 more banks, each confirming the same story: Sarah's name, Lauren's face. At the last stop, a teller casually mentioned Sarah had seemed nervous, like she was in a rush. "Probably because she knew it was wrong," Mia muttered as they left, Sarah trailing behind, numb. Back in Seattle, Sarah lay awake, the weight of Lauren's betrayal crushing her. Why would her sister do this? Jealousy? Greed? The pieces didn't fully fit. Lauren had everything, why risk it all? Sarah's phone buzzed, another cryptic text: "Stop digging, or you'll regret it." Her blood ran cold. Was Lauren watching her, or was someone else pulling strings? The next morning, Sarah confided in Mia, showing her the texts. Mia's face darkened. "This is getting creepy. We need more than bank records, something concrete, like a witness or a transaction trail." She hesitated, then added, "I know a guy, Ethan. He's a PI, owes me a favor. He can dig deeper, off the books." Sarah hesitated. A private investigator felt like crossing a line, but she was running out of options. "Okay," she said. "But no illegal stuff. I want this done right." Mia grinned. "Deal. Ethan's clean, just thorough." She texted him, arranging a meetup. That evening, they met Ethan at a dive bar in Fremont. He was wiry, with sharp eyes and a notepad full of scribbles. "Sounds like a classic identity theft," he said, scanning Sarah's folder. "I'll check Lauren's financials, travel records, anything tying her to Tacoma. Give me a week." Sarah felt a flicker of relief, but it was short-lived. 2 days later, Mia called, her voice tense. "Sarah, we've got a problem. Ethan found something big. But he's gone dark. Won't return my calls." Sarah's heart sank. "What do you mean, gone dark?" "I don't know," Mia said, her usual bravado faltering. "He texted me a file, then nothing. It's a bank statement, Lauren's. It shows payments to someone else, not just loans." "Sarah, I think she's working with someone." Sarah's mind reeled. A partner? This wasn't just Lauren's scheme, someone else was in on it. But who? And why was Ethan missing? Worse, a nagging doubt crept in. Mia had pushed for Ethan, vouched for him. Was she too involved, too eager? Could Sarah trust her? She stared at the file Mia sent, Lauren's transactions glaring back. One name stood out, a frequent payee, J. Carver. It meant nothing to Sarah, but it was a lead. Her resolve wavered, paranoia creeping in. Was Mia her ally, or part of the trap closing around her? Sarah Bennett's world felt like a house of cards, teetering on the edge of collapse. The Seattle rain hadn't let up, mirroring the storm inside her. At 30, she was fighting to reclaim her name, stolen by her twin sister, Lauren, who'd used their identical looks to open fraudulent loans. The bank records Sarah and her coworker Mia had uncovered in Tacoma confirmed Lauren's betrayal, but new questions gnawed at her. Who was J. Carver, the mysterious payee in Lauren's bank statements? And why had Ethan, their private investigator, vanished after sending that file? Sarah sat in her Belltown apartment, the dim glow of her laptop casting shadows across her face. The cryptic texts, "Stop digging, or you'll regret it," still haunted her, each one a reminder that someone was watching. Mia had been her rock, pushing her to fight back, but doubts crept in. Mia's insistence on involving Ethan, her cagey tone when he went silent, it felt off. Was Mia truly on her side, or was Sarah walking into a trap? She opened the bank statement Mia had forwarded. Lauren's transactions showed regular payments to J. Carver, totaling thousands over 2 years. The name meant nothing, but the sums were staggering, far beyond Lauren's marketing job salary. Sarah's gut twisted. This wasn't just about loans, Lauren was funding something bigger, and someone else was in on it. But who? And how did Ethan's disappearance fit? Desperate for answers, Sarah met Mia at their usual coffee shop near Pike Place Market. The air smelled of espresso and damp wool, but the cozy vibe couldn't ease Sarah's tension. Mia slid into the booth, her usual pump flare subdued. "Any word from Ethan?" Sarah asked, her voice low. Mia shook her head, her eyes darting to the window. "Nothing. It's weird. He's never ghosted me before." She hesitated, then leaned in. "But that file he sent?" "I dug into it. J. Carver isn't a person, it's a shell company. Registered in Tacoma, tied to real estate deals. Shady ones." Sarah's heart raced. Real estate? Lauren's never been into that. What's she doing? Mia shrugged, her fingers tapping nervously. Could be money laundering, flipping properties, hard to say without more. Ethan was tracing the company's owner before he went dark. We need to keep looking. Sarah nodded, but her unease grew. Mia's knowledge of shell companies felt too convenient, her urgency too rehearsed. Still, Sarah had no one else. "Okay," she said. "Let's visit that credit union in Tacoma again. Maybe they got more records on Carver." The drive to Tacoma was tense, the rain blurring the windshield. At the credit union, the same nervous clerk greeted them. Sarah forced a smile. "I need to see any transactions tied to a loan in my name, especially anything linked to J. Carver." The clerk typed, then frowned. "There's a transfer here, from your loan account to Carver's. Signed by you, in person." He showed the screen, Lauren's face on the ID, Sarah's name. But something else caught Sarah's eye, a second signature, faint but familiar. Her breath caught. It looked like Mia's. Back in the car, Sarah's mind spun. "Mia, that signature, it looked like yours." Her voice was steady, but her heart pounded. Mia's face paled, her hands gripping the wheel. "What?" "That's crazy, Sarah." "Why would I?" She stopped, her eyes flickering with panic. "Don't lie," Sarah snapped, her voice rising. "You pushed for Ethan, you knew about Carver. Are you in on this with Lauren?" Mia's jaw tightened, but she didn't deny it. "It's not what you think," she said finally, her voice low. "I didn't frame you. But yeah, I know Lauren. She paid me to keep tabs on you, make sure you didn't dig too deep. I didn't know she'd go this far." Sarah's world tilted. Mia, her only ally, had been playing her. "Why?" she demanded, tears stinging her eyes. "I trusted you." Mia looked away, guilt etched on her face. "I needed the money. My brother's sick, hospital bills piling up. Lauren offered cash, said it was just to watch you. But when you started fighting back, she panicked. Told me to steer you away." Sarah's chest ached, betrayal cutting deeper than Lauren's lies. And Ethan? Did you set him up too? Mia shook her head. No. He found out about Carver, started asking questions. I think Lauren got to him. Sarah's hands trembled. Lauren wasn't just a thief, she was dangerous, and Mia was her pawn. But Mia's confession was a weapon. You're going to help me, Sarah said, her voice cold. You'll testify, tell the truth about Lauren and Carver. Or I go to the police with your signature. Mia nodded, tears in her eyes. I'll do it. I'm sorry, Sarah. Back in Seattle, Sarah met a lawyer, David Klein, in a modest downtown office. She laid out everything, Lauren's fraud, Mia's confession, the Carver connection. David's sharp eyes studied her. If you can prove identity theft, the loans are void, he said. But you'll need hard evidence, witnesses, documents. Mia's testimony could be key, but she's compromised. And this Carver angle? Could lead to bigger charges, maybe fraud or embezzlement. Sarah nodded, her resolve steeling. What about the person who did this? What happens to them? David leaned forward. Identity theft is a felony. If convicted, they could face fines, restitution, even prison. But you need airtight proof, or the case falls apart. The weight of his words settled on Sarah. Confronting Lauren meant destroying her life, maybe their families. But she couldn't stop now. She spent the next days gathering evidence, Mia reluctantly helping. They found a paper trail linking Carver to a luxury condo Lauren had bragged about. It was damning, but not enough. Then, late one night, Sarah's phone rang. An unknown caller, voice distorted. You're close, Sarah, but you're not safe. Meet me at the Tacoma docks, midnight. Come alone, or the truth stays buried. Her heart pounded. Was this Ethan, alive? Or Lauren, setting a trap? The docks were isolated, dangerous. Going alone was reckless, but the truth was slipping away. Sarah gripped her phone, the clock ticking toward midnight. She had to decide, risk everything for answers, or stay safe and lose her chance at justice. The Tacoma docks loomed like a graveyard of steel and shadows, the midnight air thick with salt and menace. Sarah Bennett, 30 and resolute, stood under a flickering street lamp, her heart hammering. The distorted voice on the phone had lured her here with a promise of truth about the fraud that had stolen her name. Her twin sister, Lauren, was behind the loans, but the mysterious J, Carver, and the missing PI, Ethan, hinted at a deeper conspiracy. Was this a trap, or her only shot at justice? Sarah's breath caught as footsteps echoed on the wet pavement. She clutched her phone, recording in case things went south. A figure emerged from the fog, Lauren, her identical face twisted with fury. You just couldn't leave it alone, could you? Lauren hissed, her designer coat stark against the grimy docks. You're ruining everything, Sarah. Sarah's voice was steel. You ruined my life, Lauren. Stole my identity, framed me for your loans. I've got proof, bank records, your face on IDs. Even Mia's ready to testify. Lauren's laugh was sharp, brittle. Mia? That traitor. She was supposed to keep you quiet, not help you. She stepped closer, her eyes glinting. You think you've won? You don't even know the half of it. Sarah's stomach churned. Then tell me. Who's J, Carver? Why drag me into this? Lauren hesitated, her defiance cracking. Carver's a front, she said finally. A way to move money. I needed cash, fast. My job wasn't enough for the life I deserved. So I borrowed, used your name. No one was supposed to care. Care? Sarah's voice rose, trembling with rage. You destroyed my credit, my family's trust. Dad kicked me out because of you. Lauren shrugged, unrepentant. You were always so invisible. I figured you'd take the hit and move on. But you had to play detective. Her tone darkened. You shouldn't have come here, Sarah. A chill ran down Sarah's spine. The docks were too quiet, the shadows too deep. Where's Ethan? She demanded. Did you hurt him? Lauren's smirk returned. Ethan's fine, for now. He got too close, like you. But I'm not the one you should worry about. Her eyes flicked to the darkness behind Sarah. Before Sarah could turn, a new voice cut through the fog, calm, male, and chillingly familiar. She's right, Sarah. You're in over your head. Robert Bennett, their father, stepped into the light, his face a mask of cold resolve. Sarah's world shattered. Her father, the man who disowned her, was part of this? Dad? Sarah's voice broke, disbelief choking her. You're with her? Robert's gaze was steady, unapologetic. I had to protect Lauren. She's the future of this family, always has been. You were collateral damage. Sarah's knees buckled, but she held her ground. You let her frame me? Watched me suffer? Why? Robert sighed, as if explaining to a child. Lauren's debts were spiraling. Carver was my idea, a shell company to clean the money, keep her safe. You were the perfect cover. No one would suspect you'd fight back. The betrayal cut deeper than Lauren's lies. Sarah's own father had orchestrated her downfall, using her as a pawn to shield his favorite daughter. Tears stung her eyes, but anger burned hotter. You're a monster, she whispered. Both of you. Lauren smirked, but Robert's face hardened. Walk away, Sarah. Drop this, or we'll make sure you lose more than your name. Sarah's hand tightened on her phone, the recording still running. I'm not backing down, she said, her voice steady despite the fear. I've got enough to go to the police. Mia's testimony, the Carver records, and now this. She held up the phone, its red light glaring. Lauren lunged, but Robert grabbed her arm. Not here, he snapped. He turned to Sarah, his voice low. You're making a mistake. You won't like what comes next. Headlights flashed in the distance, a car approaching. Sarah's heart raced. Was it help, or another threat? Lauren's eyes widened, panic flickering. We need to go, she hissed to Robert. They backed away, vanishing into the fog as the car's engine grew louder. Sarah stood frozen, the weight of her father's betrayal crushing her. But the phone in her hand was a lifeline, proof of their confession. She had to act fast, before they could silence her for good. The car stopped, and a figure stepped out. Sarah, a voice called. It was Mia, her face pale with worry. I tracked your phone. What happened? Sarah's relief was tinged with suspicion. Mia had betrayed her once, could she trust her now? Lauren and Dad, Sarah said, her voice shaking. They're behind it all. Carver's their scheme. I recorded them. Mia's eyes widened. Your dad? Holy, okay, we need to get you somewhere safe. The police, a lawyer, now. She reached for Sarah, but Sarah stepped back, her trust frayed. Why should I believe you? Sarah asked, her voice sharp. You work for Lauren. Mia's face fell, guilt raw. I know I screwed up. But I'm here, risking everything. Let me make this right. Sarah hesitated, the car's headlights cutting through the fog. Time was running out. She had the recording, but Lauren and Robert were still out there, plotting. She needed Mia, flawed as she was. Okay, Sarah said finally. But you're with me every step. No more lies. They drove back to Seattle, the recording burning a hole in Sarah's pocket. At David Klein's office, she played the audio, her lawyer's face grim as Robert's voice filled the room. This is explosive, David said. With Mia's testimony and the Carver records, we can file a police report, dispute the loans, and clear your name. But pressing charges against your father and sister, it'll tear your family apart. Are you ready for that? Sarah's chest ached. Justice meant exposing the people she'd loved most. But they'd left her no choice. "Do it," she said, her voice firm. "They need to face what they've done." David nodded, but his expression turned grave. "There's one problem. Ethan's still missing. If they've silenced him, they might come for you next. We need to move fast, and you need to watch your back." Sarah's blood ran cold. Ethan's fate was unknown, and her family's reach was longer than she'd feared. That night, in her apartment, a knock at the door startled her. Through the peephole, she saw a manila envelope on the mat, no one in sight. Inside was a single photo, Ethan, bound and gagged, with a note, "One last chance, Sarah. Drop it, or he's next." Her hands shook. The game had just gotten deadlier.